Like I remember there being two. There used to be two racks at nationals.
Yeah, so we had 4 at Masters Nationals, and there was a bit of complaints about that, but they were all at least proper combo racks. There was 2 Hardsu ones, an old Eleiko and a Power Dragon, which is Hardsu's off, basically a Eleiko clone version. But you still get people complaining, going, "Oh, that's not exactly the same as on the platform, and it's not Eleiko." But the Eleiko racks cost a fortune. We're looking at replacing it in WCPA, and it's just the cost of getting a new one. And they are the best rack, but is it worth 3 times the cost of what you can get a Hardsu for? Yeah.
Yeah, that it's worldwide, and it's changed a lot, even in 15 years. Like I remember going to Worlds and Arnold's for the first time, and it was different racks. There'd be 6 racks, and they're all combo racks, but it might be 2 ERs, newer ERs, a really old Eleiko, and a newer Eleiko, and it would be 6 different bars. It would be standardized. It was only after a few years at the Arnold's that Rogue started sponsoring and would have but Rogue bars available. And so all the equipment at the biggest competition in the world started getting standardized 10 years ago. And now you go to local comps, and that's the expectation that we'll have all Eleiko benches in the warm up room, all the bars will be the same, and what's in the warm up room is going to be exactly what's on the platform. And I just laugh. I go, man, that's like that seems like fiction to me, having that ever set up. But I guess,
I don't think here in New Zealand, just because the Eleiko is just so expensive, but just having it standardized, there is actually so much difference between the racks that when we had the ER ones, they were all pretty similar. And then you've got the Rogue one, which is just too big and heavy. It's got a great pad, but it's too wide, so people are clanging on. The original Hansu one, that the rack's set too far forward. I've got the V2, which is pretty good, but it's just not. They're all just slightly different enough to be annoying.
I kind of like that. I used to like it that it was always a different bench and a different rack competitions, and it's kind of potluck. You got,
Yeah.
hey, um,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
you'd always get some people complaining the bars and whatever, and it makes for funny threads. Because I know Blaine Sumner would always ask what was in the warm up room, and he wasn't because he had an issue with it. He just wanted to know what was there ahead of time. He could plan it all out in his head. But he would often get baited by some of the other US lifters, Joe Capolino in particular, who would start going, you can't set world records in the warm up, needling him. He goes,
No.
no one cares. But yeah, that was kind of where some people are going with it now. That, well, if I'm going, actually, this played out in Norway this year. Just thinking that they, had an argument with the lifter about whether they really needed to be on the exact same rack in their training or going to be on the platform at Worlds. And I just said it doesn't matter that much. But
I think,
they were adamant that they could only bench.
and you see a bit of that these days, and I can sort of understand it with people that are absolutely best of the best, like a Agata or something. But even she trains on all sorts of weird stuff.
You know,
That
good at training on everything.
Because it's not like they swap the rack out halfway through a comp. Like everyone's in competing on exactly the same equipment, and you're warming up on the same equipment. So you haven't got an advantage over everyone if you're warming up on the Eleiko. If the rack out on the platform is a Polini or a Rogue or whatever, it's just you're all competing on the same one.
You're all competing against gravity. Gravity's. Oh, wow. I just looked at the time. That's 90 minutes of back in my day talk.
Good to catch up with you anyway.
It's
So.
good.